Good morning. Morning, everybody. Good morning. It's On the Ball, episode 7. We today it's at the 1st of August, and according to the government of Malaysia, we are supposed to wear a face mask wherever we go. So put on your face mask to all listeners in. Today, as I said, I'm Rick Wee from On the Ball, together with James White and Julian Jackson. And unbelievably, we are at episode 7. So for 7 consecutive weeks, these three amigos have been meeting up on the net and talking about sports. So today's episode, one fairly serious discussion about the future of watching sports. No smiling, and we're just going to be very focused about that. How are we going to watch sports in future? Through on demand? Is the cable TV still going to survive? Are we going to watch through our mobile phones? VR, AR, we'll discuss about that later. And then later part in the afternoon or in the morning, we will discuss the world's most important topic, which is which athlete had the worst and best haircut. We're going to split hairs about that, And as you know, James does not have any hair, so it's going to be hard for him to split some hair on this topic, James. So, hi, Julian. Hi, James. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rick. Morning, Jim.
How's it been for the last 1 week?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Surviving. Doing well, in fact, actually. Doing well.
Well done. So, any sports news? James, you want to start off? You want to share with us any sports news?
I'm just wearing my Real Madrid jersey today, the one that I was given by the club. It's got actually my name on the back when I did the deal a few years back for them. And congratulate them on their old news, but their La Liga title. So well done, Real Madrid. This week, NBA is back. NBA is back. Only the top teams, top 20 teams have made it through to this section. They're going to have a few kind of warm-up games, figure out who the top 16 are that go to the playoffs. But it's back, and I think people are excited. They've got new kind of cool uniforms that are talking about social commentary and things like this. So, reflecting on the COVID issue, reflecting on other issues of race and things like that in the U.S. So, I'm happy that the NBA is back. They're all playing games out of Orlando, so they're all basically at Disney World enjoying themselves inside the bubble. And we're looking forward to having some good basketball action forward. And I want to shout out to my peeps behind me, Minnesota Vikings fans. Yeah, where our team is practice. We're about ready to come back in the NFL season in about a month's time as well. So I'm excited that the U.S. sports are kicking in big time. My team, Minnesota United, the Loons, defeated Columbus last week, which I had predicted on this show. You heard it here first. And they're in the quarters now. They've still got a few more games to win to take it all, but they've stepped over the biggest hurdle, beaten the toughest team in the MLS, and go Loons! That's all I got for you.
Well done, and well done to you. You got your green background working. Looks nice.
Or do I? Maybe I'm just in the stadium with a bunch of people. The suspended animated, kind of state. No, green screen. You can check it out.
A perfect background for the topic today. Julian, any news from you about you want to share with us today?
Just wanted to comment on Newcastle United. I feel a little bit sorry for them that they've lost the deal where the Saudis were going to take them over. A little bit sorry, not a massive amount sorry. It mildly amuses me. I mean, look, I'm sure pretty much every Newcastle United fan wants to get rid of Mike Ashley. He's not been particularly good for the club. He's run the club in terms of financial-wise. He's run the club well, but in terms of football that's produced on the pitch, not so well. Some pretty crappy decisions along the line with a few things. But look, a shout out to Glenn Stidolf, who I saw some posts on Facebook recently. He was very, very upset. He's a Newcastle fan. so calling out the hypocrisy of the Premier League basically supporting the Qatari government, so to speak, in the guise of beIN Sports, who are one of the biggest buyers of Premier League rights in the world. And he thinks that they're supporting the Qataris in favor of the Saudis. Now, both countries have issues on human rights, and there's lots of complaints about either side. Both of them, to be perfectly honest, from my side, from what I've seen, have plenty of things to be ashamed about. But so does everyone else. Everyone says that, you can take money from America, you can take money from pretty much any country, and each one of them has issues. So anyway, long story short, poor old Newcastle now don't have a buyer, and so they're back in the square one position. So I kind of feel sorry for them, because it's always good to see new clubs coming out with a bunch of money and seeing what they do with it. We see it with Man City and what the Abu Dhabis did with Man City, and did a great job. And we see what Farhad Moshiri did for Everton. As I don't necessarily blame him per se, but some of the way we've spent our money has been absolutely atrocious, and which is why we finished 12th this year, despite spending almost £500 million. So it doesn't necessarily guarantee success, but it certainly goes some way to getting some success somewhere along the line.
That was a question I was going to ask you. Is just having money, is that alone the factor? So obviously there have been some examples of where money has not been spent wisely. Have you been able to sort of see what how can a club spend wisely? Do they have to hire the right?
You know what? I think that's number one, Jim. That's absolutely number one. They've got to have a plan. And I think one thing I've got to take my hat off to Man City. They had a plan. Not only have they bought very well in the transfer market, but they bought the right people behind the scenes. And so now they've got a great business setup. Shout out to our buddy Stefan Chiplik out there. But I think one of the things that I read a few years about in a book called Soccernomics was how much you spend in the transfer market makes no difference to your position at the end of the year. How much you pay the players, the correlation between who plays the most to their players is you will see the table of the Premier League, who pays the most players for their players. That actually correlates to where they finish in the league. So if you look at the last 20 years of Premier League, who the top players are generally are finishing at the top of the league. And Everton are generally at the moment now are 7th or 8th best players, and they're underperforming by finishing 12th. But Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Chelsea pay the most of anybody else, and generally that's where they finish 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Makes sense, isn't it? Yeah. But, very unfortunate for Newcastle. I know they have quite a reasonable presence in Malaysia. They have a number of fans in Malaysia. My news is actually slightly different. Some of you may have heard of a national athlete, Mr. V. Subramaniam. He was a renowned walker. In the 80s, he was winning gold for Malaysia. Then he hit badly, and in about 5 years ago, he became a hawker. He was selling Western food, and news came out about him last week. In fact, it was my mistake. I forgot to mention about it last week, that he was very ill and not well. And but I'm very happy to report that the sports community came together to support him, and he's now getting medical attention. Well done to the sports community. But I wish we could do more. In Malaysia, we do have a yayasan, a government agency to help retired athletes. But I think the yayasan can only do so much with the funds they have. They're doing a good job, but I think we can help them even better. I think it's important for us to not just celebrate athletes, sports person while they are at the top or while they are rising, but it's important to support athletes when they have retired. So when I say support, I don't mean like giving free money, but there's respecting their work and honoring them, and then
certainly helping them with injuries and things like that. And one thing that fairly everyone knows that you and I are Everton supporters, but one thing I haven't been proud of Everton for a lot of the time in the last few years, But one thing I'm very, very proud of Everton is they were the first team in the Premier League to look after their players, the Everton Players Foundation. And these guys, they look after everyone that's had an injury or needs a new hip or has got health issues. They help them out. And all of these health issues, a lot of them came when they were playing for Everton. So, and even if they didn't, they look after the former players. And I think that should be every club should be doing that, and every sports federation / Olympic Association, 100%.
Exactly, yeah, spot on. And most of these sports injuries, it emerge about 10 to 20 years down the road.
Correct,
So it's not fair to the athletes. So things are being done, but should be done faster lah. That's my view.
Yeah,
but good luck to Mr. V. Subramaniam. I really hope he gets well soon. And for those of you who can Google out where he is, once he's well, he'll be back operating his food stall, selling Western food. So you should go and support the restaurant. Yeah,
cool.
So that's my news for today.
One quick note on that, just real quick. I think the leagues are also the entities that generate the most revenue. It's paid towards the clubs, and if leagues need to set aside some money for the former players, and I think a lot of leagues in the U.S. have that, the Players Association of the league, and that is siphoned from the sponsorship from the broadcast right before it's split among all the rest of them.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
and so that's we definitely take our hat off to Mr. Subra, and we wish him the best. One quick thing on you guys, tell us about your jerseys that you're wearing today.
Okay, I'm wearing the third kit of Sao Paulo FC from Brazil. I don't know whether they actually wore it. I was in Brazil a few years back and I saw it on a rack and I thought, I'm having that kit.
Nice, classic one. I'm wearing the State of Para football jersey. This is last year's jersey. It's sponsored by the Para Tourism Agency, and it's Umbro here. Yeah. So it's while I'm born in Kelantan, but I'm a massive.
No, I was about to say you're a Kelantan man.
But I was born there. But my parents are from Kelantan. But I grew up in Ipoh. So everything about Para is I support. Everything, Para hockey, Para football, Para volleyball. Every time there's an international game, I want Para to win. Call me loyal, yeah. Thanks for inquiring, James. Yeah, but I like this jersey. It's very nice. Yeah.
Jim, do we talk about your jersey?
I did. I talked about my jersey.
Okay. I thought that was before us. We're going on live.
No, I
did.
Started out with my jersey. I'm proud of it. It's got my name on the back. I can turn around.
All right, should we move on?
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for today, one of the things we want to discuss about and have a debate is about looking at what's happening around the world due to COVID-19 and the pandemic and the lockdown, the way and the habit of the sports viewers and the way we watch sports have dramatically changed. So we would like to discuss about the future of watching sports. I mean, are we still going to watch basketball through in Malaysia through Astro? Are we still going to go to the stadium, buy a ticket, and watch a game? And we don't even know whether we can go back to the stadiums, and or do we watch a game in Russia through YouTube? I'm not sure. So, do you have anything to say about that, James? I'm sorry, Julian. Julian, you have anything to say, Julian?
I've got lots to say about that.
I know you are the resident expert for this area. All yours, Julian.
I've been in content for the last 27, 28 years. And so I guess it's a little bit my area. But, we've seen huge changes in the world of television and the world of broadcasting. Everyone 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, would be subscribing to a cable platform. Oops, sorry, I've lost my mic. Yeah, subscribing to a cable platform. Now, those numbers are dwindling, and they're dwindling fast. I used to be a $500 a month customer for Astro. I'm not anymore. I get my sport from various different locations. Some of them legal, some of them not so legal. And unfortunately, I'm not proud of admitting that, but sometimes when you're struggling to find a way to watch a particular game, some of the illegal ways, you're not going to get busted in Malaysia. And certainly in Asia and in the West, I think you're going to find slight differences, because here in Asia, IP and copyright is not protected as much as it is in the West, or in some countries around the world. Not just, I shouldn't say the West, I should say in various countries. Malaysia is, I love living here. I've lived here for a long time, but this is a place where you had a fake DVD store right next to a police station. That tells you pretty much all you need to know. So, look, one thing that is absolutely clear is people are not willing to pay. They're less likely to pay subscriptions the way they have in the past, which is, here's a bunch of money, you give me a bunch of channels. So you're going to find a situation where people are going to pick. They want to pick and choose, as you said before in the intro, Rick. Netflix style model of over-the-top television is absolutely the future. Now, there are different sections to this conversation. There's a section of where they're going to consume, but also how the consuming is done. So certainly, we're going to see a much bigger proliferation of, I'm an Everton fan, someone's a Liverpool fan, or a Denver Nuggets fan, or a Minnesota Vikings fan. They'll want to watch only their team. And in America, you do get that you can just buy the content based on the team you support. You watch their matches. That hasn't happened so much in football, in European football per se. So you're going to see a lot more of that, particularly because that's the generation we know. The generation that has grown up, they believe that they want the content when they want it, and they only want to see what they want to see, not what the linear channel wants you to see. So look, I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know, but I think one of the things that's really interesting is the way you watch a match. So okay, you've got whichever device you're seeing it on. And here in Asia, a lot of people are watching it on mobile phones, way more than they are in Europe or in America. It's the big TV, the big screen wins the day there. But here, without doubt, it's a mobile play. But it's, you ask people who know about their sport, right? And James and Rick, you chime in here. But you talk to people, and they may know a lot about sport, and you think, oh, this guy must watch all the matches. And you ask them then, so when was the last match you watched? A lot of them haven't even seen a match, a full live match, 90 minutes or 80 minutes, whatever it is for basketball. And they haven't even seen it, because what they do is they consume highlights. They consume news, and they consume just the goals or just the baskets, just the home runs or whatever it would happen to be. So people don't have the time to sit through 2 hours, which is essentially what it is for a football match, to sit down and watch. And when they do that, they're doing other things. So what you'll see a lot more of is people using other apps. Look, we already see it. I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is happening right now. Is, second screen apps are going to be used a lot more. It's not just by the young, it's going to be by everybody else. You're going to have things like fantasy sports that are integrated within the broadcasts. You're going to see the individual matches with the text, the Instagram or the Facebook or the Twitter feeds next to it. And there's lots more apps and software that allows you to do that now. Look, again, this is nothing that I'm telling anybody that's new, but I think the proliferation is going to be the big story for the next few years. And the traditional people that have paid big money for sports, the Astros of the world here in Malaysia, the Sky Sports in the UK, the major networks in the States, you're going to see people or different organizations buying the rights. So you've already seen Twitter buy some rights and some of the smaller rights in the States. Facebook tried to bid for the Indian Premier League, and you had Amazon buying a few matches for the English Premier League in the UK. Now, are those guys going to come in with big checkbooks and save the sports content industry? No. They're going to be very, very smart about what they're doing. We have a very good friend of ours who runs Facebook Sports, a guy called Peter Hutton. And he has said, we're not going to come in riding on a white horse saving the rights content industry. They're going to be very selective in what they buy. They're not going to, so the Premier League is always going to be okay. The NFL is always going to be okay. The NBA is all going to be okay. It's the other sports that I think we're going to see a big difference in the way that they can monetize their content. And that's going to be on free platforms, as many free platforms as possible to get to as many different people as possible. But that's the sort of the distribution of sport and how you actually consume it. But there's things like that I came across the other day. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on. There's an app that you can get now that allows you to cheer from your own, wherever you are in the world. You don't have to be watching. So what happens is if enough people are pressing cheer at that time, then that music or that noise is piped through to the speakers. So it can really deafen the audience. So not only are you getting the in-crowd noise, you're getting everyone else sort of going, yeah, whatever. And, increasing the level of noise. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's something that you'd be interested in doing?
James?
I guess it pulls along the kind of the fair weather fan, the fan that is not a real technical fan. Somebody who's watching the game for the game. If it's like the wife of the guy sitting on, or the husband or the woman who loves volleyball or whatever it might be, who's watching the game because they're there with someone else and they're kind of bored with it, I think they would enjoy that kind of engagement. But for me, I watch sports I love sports and I watch the games in full because I love to, see the strategy and understand that. And, but I think, for people who are not serious, truly avid fans, then those types of engagements. And I think it's all about customization. If you're customizing the viewing habit, or you're able to customize that to individuals' tastes, and they can basically watch the way they want. And for me, the big thing is really the commentating. I think very soon we'll be able to watch a live match, but have a number of different commentators, not only languages, but people who you like, or maybe they're celebrities who are doing commentary, or even just maybe a fan or some other person who you like their style, and you just like to their commentary. It might be kind of funny.
They do that already, Jim, on Twitch.
Yeah.
On Twitch, it's called co-commentating. So someone else put co-streaming, I should say. You have somebody putting up a stream, and then you have loads of people doing co-commentary. Completely separate from it. So there's the ad hoc version. Yeah. So that's the ad hoc version, and then you've got the more structured version, which is what maybe the broadcasters would do, which I think you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. For traditional sports, to take a page out of that book, I think would be a great idea. And people can watch, because I know that in America they have the radio broadcast and the TV broadcast. And some people think that the TV broadcast commentators are terrible because the radio guys are from the local city, whereas sometimes the broadcast guys are national, so they're not on the side of the home team. So people will watch the TV and they will turn down the volume and then listen to the radio commentators because they're more supportive of the local team, and having more options of those. It would make the game a lot more fun if you hear a guy, or if you or I or one of my friends who is a crazy avid fan who might even swear a little bit or something is the guy doing the commentary. To me, I would rather listen to that than the stodgy old fellas who are on the TV.
Yeah, I mean that whole co-streaming thing is huge in the virtual world of video games and what have you.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen much more often in the traditional world. And look, it's happened already. Like at Sky Sports in the UK, used to do this for fun. They used to sort of film these guys, and it was hilarious watching them. But you know what? What you hear by the vanilla guy is so different to what you see on the internet, right? The vanilla guy is Mr. Family Friendly. What you see on the internet, and that's why when I'm watching sport, I'm on two screens. I'm on watching the sport, and then I'm watching what Twitter or my forum is talking about. Oh, this guy sucks. What the hell? Why do we pay this guy? All this sort of stuff. And they're harsh in the internet world. And that, to be honest, I kind of want to hear that. I don't want to hear vanilla. I want to hear what people really think. And as much as we always like to say, oh, it's all my own opinion. No, it's not. You've stolen that opinion from someone else. So look, people love strong opinions, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. Or whether they're controversial or not. So I think you're going to see a huge increase in that, James. A huge increase. I think you're right. Not often, but yeah, you're definitely right.
That moves towards customization.
It does.
And there are many different ways to customize how you watch something. And so if you're one of these lesser sports that Julian was talking about, not lesser, but one of those who has fewer followers or fewer revenue streams. To be working with these digital content support companies that can help you to reformat and to offer different elements of your content in different ways that people will want to pay for. That is the key, is being customizable.
The millennial generation are well known amongst anyone in the marketing. They want that engagement. They want to be part of the story. My generation, or all of our generation, we're quite happy to sit back and be entertained. The generation below us, our kids and our kids' kids, are the ones that want to be part of the stream. They want to be part of the conversation. They don't want to be left out. They want to go behind the scenes. So you're going to see a lot more of that type of stuff. I mean, look, we see a lot of that already, but you're seeing a bigger proliferation of it. Here's a question for you guys. What do you think? Because I've got an opinion on it, and I'd be interested to hear what yours are. VR, virtual reality. What are your thoughts on how that will develop, and whether that will develop in the sports viewing practices going forward?
James?
Rick? Oh, well, I mean, Rick hasn't spoken much. I thought I'd give him a chance there.
Go on, Rick. You must have an idea. Rick, what do you think about VR? Will you be wearing a headset to watch sport?
Well, I was going to. Thanks, James. I was going to first say that we will be moving towards online viewing. There's no doubt about that. And before I deal with VR and AR, augmented reality, and in my view, if you look at the evolution of sports in the last 40 years, from going to the stadiums, watching live, watching highlights, then having satellite TV, cable TV, where it's repeated over and over again, and now the last 3 to 5 years, having control using the internet, 4G, and we're going to go 5G soon, is even better. And with the advent of mobile smartphones, we literally have sports in our hand. So that is going to happen. And I feel that the days of subscribing to expensive cable TV may be the end. We just need to watch certain games that we want. But for VR and AR, that is something a totally different ball game. You may have to purchase and acquire the machine to put into your head, over your head. I feel it's experimentable. You can experiment it. There is value in it. Especially for games which are dynamic in nature. With respect, I don't think it will work on baseball, for example, or even, I must say, for even football. Just wearing that and you assume you are in Goodison Park and your head will be like this. It doesn't make much value. But let's say if you're having it for MMA, and then you're actually in the ring. The VR and AR put you in the ring, or if you are watching a swimming competition and your AR VR is either over the water or below the water, it's as if you are in the water watching the swimmer. That may sell, in my view. People enjoy that.
The cool thing is with NBA, they've been, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years working with VR, and they create basically a front row seat where if you sign up to it, and they've also got mixed martial arts and other sports, but NBA was the first one that launched it. So they've got these special cameras all around the court that are only for the VR feed, and so the camera moves based on where the where the ball is, where the action is. So you can't right now you can't voluntarily switch camera view so it switches on you. But you also can have a friend sitting next to you as an avatar, and you can be chatting with that friend about the game while you're watching basically like you're sitting from the front row, because there's a guy sitting literally on the side of the court with a headset on, a camera, and he's watching the play go by. And so you are literally where that guy is, and then there's cameras on the hoops. So it's kind of like a front row experience, and that would be pretty cool.
For me, that kind of thing works. I was one of those idiots that bought a 3D television, and Sky Sports had a similar thought, that they thought 3D was going to be the way forward. And I watched the 2010 World Cup in 3D. Actually, it wasn't so bad. There was one huge problem, and this is the problem with VR right now, is wearing the glasses, and they were very light 3D glasses. You used to get headaches you used to get headaches very, very quickly. Within 20 minutes, you'd get a headache, or you feel blurred. You have to stand up, you have to take it off, and everything. And that's the same sort of thing with VR. Putting a big headset or any type of smaller headset, even, human beings don't like it because it plays with their field of vision and their orientation and their balance. Until, what you talked about, James, I think it is very important, because that is good, and you can obviously develop that. But the minute when you have to put something on to watch it, I think that's going to fail. And 3D failed for that very reason.
The VR that I was talking about, it also requires a headset, so you got to.
Oh, does it? It does. Oh, it does. So I don't think. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought you meant you could see it.
I think maybe more
choosing the camera.
Old people like us have a difficulty making that adjustment, but I think kids are.
My kids were 10, 11 at the time, or whatever age they were, and they got dizzy.
That's from the 3D TV, right? Have they tried VR?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying everything makes you dizzy. What I am saying is that whole process of having to put something on like that, I don't think works. What works is the same. Look, no one is arguing that virtual reality is not cool as hell, and you can do some amazing stuff. But when you can do that, when you're using a special television or a special screen or whatever it will happen to be, that will be the one that works. Not currently when you have to wear the whole goggles and the whole extra bits and bobs, as it were.
I saw one technology, I think by NCT, who's developing, where they're basically able to cut out from live video the players, the ball, the essential elements, and then transport that into another area, like superimpose it either onto another background, or actually maybe recreate it in a virtual space. So imagine you have AR, augmented reality, and court or the field in your augmented reality is colorful or has certain branding or whatever, and the players are playing in your court, and maybe your court looks different than Rick's court and my court. They all look different, but the game is playing. Exact same game is playing, but your court looks different. Or maybe you can have holograms. You're literally standing in a shopping mall or something, and the players are running around you, or because they've been plucked out of a live video, and that would be really augmented reality.
Yeah. Would that be a game changer though? Look, I'm not saying it's not cool, and I like the idea of it, but is it going to be the game changer the way that sport is viewed going forward?
So the idea is customization. So if you can have it, if there are 100 people, they want to watch it 100 different ways. And if you're a sport and you can offer it in 100 different ways, you're going to get a lot more viewership and revenue.
As an alternative,
some people might want to watch the traditional game. Some people might want to watch VR. Some people might want to watch that whole superimposed situation with pink and red field or whatever. So if you can offer all those things, you're going to capture more viewership.
I don't disagree that it's very cool. I have a doubt that it's a game changer in terms of, will there be more people? Maybe not. Look, one thing that I think will be a game changer, and that's wearable tech and the information that you get from wearable tech. And you already see this in footballers right now. At the back of their shirts, they wear all sorts of GPS transmitters, And they're generally, for the moment, they're being used by the club themselves to find how much a player runs. And some of that information does get through to the broadcaster, so they can see who's done the most running and the heat maps and everything. The wearable tech of knowing about what's happening to players' bodies at the time that they're playing. I'll give you an example. And the reason I use this is because another buddy of mine actually runs a company that does this, but they can put a patch on the skin of a player, say a tennis player, and that patch will tell you his levels of uric acid and his levels of adrenaline and lots of different chemical balances within his body. And if you have the information, knowing that there's, I can't remember whether it was uric acid or, I think let's just say uric acid, just for argument's sake. I might be wrong. But his levels of uric acid, if they're very high, then he's going to be tired a lot easier than the other player that's got the same patch on, and his levels of uric acid are low, for example. And so he's a lot fitter, a lot less tired than the other player. So if you know that information from a betting standpoint is colossal. Now, obviously, many markets that's not going to be, you can't do that. But the information that you get from wearable tech will give you an advantage to one, to talk about, but two, to maybe even bet on. If one player you see is tiring and it's a close game, then you might want to put your money on the guy whose uric acid levels are low compared to the guy whose uric acid levels are high. You see
Rick,
what I mean?
Here's a question for you, Rick. I mean, if I was a tennis player, I wouldn't want that information shared. I wouldn't want my internal body levels. I don't want people to know that I'm getting tired. I don't want my opponent to know that I'm getting tired because maybe somehow he spoke to his coach or whatever. Is there a legality? Like, could a tour or a league or a club require me legally to wear something that shows my fitness level and shares it with the public?
Well, at the moment, as you know, most sports, top professional sports, they wear the vest to study the players' body reaction, and that is most of it. I mean, I've seen some of the contracts are permitted in the contract, so the club can retain and maintain the data from that. But it is at the moment, I think it is a question. Yeah, whether that data can be broadcast out. I mean, one classic data is what we see in the game of for soccer, Football Manager. Where you get all the players' information. They collect data from everybody, everywhere in the world, and then they create a game where you and I can buy and sell players. But that data is not private to the player. These are most of the data they obtain from fans and scouts. So for your data, that kind of question, I think it's not, the law is not clear yet. And most of the contracts for athletes doesn't expressly explain whether the data can be given to third parties. Well, I don't think so.
Funny you should mention that, Rick, and I'm sure you know about it anyway. But there's just recently, I think last week, there was a case brought by a bunch of players who are actually saying, no, hang on, we own that information, not the clubs, not the leagues, who are selling this information to people like Opta, who are making millions of dollars utilizing this information. So I think this is going to be a real open debate going forward, because from a legality point of view, it's not clear at all, is it?
Yeah, in fact, the issue of data is still very vague and blur. Take Malaysia, for example. A lot of times we do not know who actually owned the data. So it has to be resolved one way or another. But under the law, we always lean towards the person who originally owned it. So in our case, for example, the three of us, for example, we'll be very unhappy if our mobile phone numbers are being sold to third party, and the law will protect us because the number belongs to us. Yeah. And also on that logic, I think if someone is having my DNA, someone's having a data about how my body reacts when I'm running, it should belong to me.
If you're a tennis player, for example, I'm just throwing this out there as a bit of a devil's advocate, to be honest. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you're a tennis player and you're number, 30, 40 in the world, and your salary, your winnings are decent enough or whatever, and then some betting company says, right, we'll pay you $1 million to do this.
That's not how it works. The betting company will pay the tour, and the tour will hopefully offer higher prize money or whatever. But
Could be.
tennis players are not. There's no individual who's ever going to go to a betting company.
But they could do. Who's to say they couldn't do, Jem? They could. It's a possibility.
See, the thing about
it's like Uniqlo didn't go to the ATP tour to sponsor Djokovic or Federer. They went to Djokovic direct.
Just think about the image. A betting company. You are endorsing a betting company. The throwing matches. That will never happen. But I mean, I understand what you're saying in terms of money. The money goes to court. The money coming in through betting, and more of that is shared with players, and players might have a more lenient opinion of it. And if all the players get together and vote, these tours have player associations, and if everybody voted, if I was against it, one voted for it, well, of course, then I have to follow the rules. But for me personally, I think a lot of people would think twice about taking away a competitive element unless they're paid.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying I'm throwing it out there as something that is the technology is available. The technology is there, and how you use that technology. I think we're going to see a proliferation of this type of thing. This is just one small microcosm of all of the things that are out there that I think we're going to see a lot more of, because there's particularly in times like this when we're in a global depression after COVID, or during COVID, I should say, really.
Still during COVID, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has become very, very inventive, and necessity is the mother of all invention. And we'll see more and more pieces of tech, that are going to give people information they never had before, that's going to be used on our broadcast. So people are going to know more. I tell you what would be a really great thing, and I think it does exist. In fact, I'm pretty sure it exists, is how many times you watch football or tennis or rugby or basketball, whatever your sport is, and I've never seen that player before. Who is he? What do? You go straight on your phone or your iPad or your other whatever device you have available to check out, find out who that player is, find out what his transfer value, is he a good player, is he a bad player, whatever it is. But that second screen opportunity should be on the first screen. So the first screen. So when you have touch screens, you just touch the button. Number 10. Who's number 10? And you press it, and all his information comes up. And I say it should exist. I know it exists actually, but that type of thing we see much more of because it's part of the interaction. It's part of the information. People are hungry for information. They're hungry for stats. Certainly in American sports have been hungry for stats for years. Only in the last 5 years have we seen a lot of traditional sports like football and everything hungry for stats. Stats is what we're going to see a lot more of going forward. And how those stats are presented.
I can say that the laws, while the most countries have the national law for data, but when it comes to this kind of personal data, the value of data and who owns the data is still a question. And you see, the thing about data is not just about owning the data. Data is about numbers produced. Once you do something, then we have the data. So if I'm surfing on the Facebook, then they can see the data on my Facebook. So if I'm running in a football field, they can see the data from my running. Then after you have to interpret the data. So actually, what are you selling? Are you selling the data or are you selling the interpretation of the data? So if you say you're selling the interpretation of data, it doesn't belong to the player. It belongs to the person who interprets the data. So these are legal issues which we deal with all the time. And that's how I deal with it when we have data issues.
Yeah.
So we have to see what actually are you selling for data, etc., etc.
I think we can safely say that it's interaction and individualism, as in you choose your own reality, shall we say, is the way forward. And you may even see less people at grounds because of it. Or the stadiums, which I think they obviously are doing, becoming more interactive as well. So when you do turn up, you're not just watching the game. There's other ways you can interact with the game that you turned up to watch. Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting topic so far, ladies and gentlemen. I think we should just we should come to a conclusion on this. And so I suppose the conclusion is that we are going to see a change in the watching habits. I think in times to come, we will see a on-demand version of sports. And I think locally, we've seen some local producers trying to do that. Hopefully, it will continue to evolve, and I wouldn't be surprised one day we just need to subscribe and buy to watch one game.
Oh yeah, that already happens.
Yep. So now on the second topic, and we're running out of time. It's already 11:45. So, ladies and gentlemen, the three of us were having a debate. As you know, the format of the show is we'll start off with sports news from the three of us, what we want to share. For example, last week I shared about sumo wrestling, and then we spoke about the Premier Leagues and the championship playoff coming up. Then we have one main topic today was about viewing sports, and the second topic usually is a more serious matter, and today's serious matter is about who have the best and the worst haircuts in sports. So I'm going to invite James first. Maybe James, you want to share your version of the worst haircuts, and then all yours, James.
Great. Well, I've made a list of 10 guys from various sports, and I think the common denominator among the list that I created was pretty much kind of like a few weeks ago when we were talking about a WTF moment. What were you thinking? I just don't understand. But we can go through them one by one, and I think you'll see what I'm talking about here. But the first guy I'm looking at is a guy named Chris Anderson, who's an NBA player. He is obviously he's tatted everywhere. He's definitely an edgy character, and he's got basically the mohawk going. So I don't know how we're going to be sharing these images, Rick.
I'm going to try. Hang on. Got quite a lot of images, James. So yes, I got
just to let everybody know, Rick's a little slow on certain things, so please bear with him.
Rick and I are the slow ones, but somehow Julian never has to do any of these things. It's strange.
It's tough like that.
Yeah, we have Chris Anderson here coming up soon.
This year.
He's the guy with the mohawk, right?
Right. So yeah, we
go on,
Chris.
James. Yeah.
Unbelievable NBA player, great talent, great shooter. But he needs a new hairstylist.
Yeah.
Did you name them, James, for him?
Yeah, each one is. There he is. So you can just scroll down here. Is this the email, Rick? If you can just scroll down. Email. Yeah, you just scroll down one by one here.
Well, unfortunately, James, I have to download one by one because it was broken up that way. So I have to. That's why I'm searching for it one by one. And there's no name. So I have to search. When it came to me, it came as a code. There's no Chris Anderson.
Everybody, we're going to find a better way to do this next week. We promise.
It's okay. It's we are just a bit of tweaking here and there. Yeah. So this is Chris Anderson.
If we can look for Adam Morrison, I'll just do a couple. Adam Morrison, great talent out of college. Got drafted a few years back, maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now.
I have Adam Morrison. Hang on.
Never really panned out in the NBA, but I love his draft day look. And I think if you guys agree with me, once you get it up, it's basically like the kind of like, I don't really care at all about that goes on my head, hair, my facial hair. It's like pretty much
nasty.
I just got out of bed and went to the draft. And this is kind of, hey man, check it out. I just bought a tie today.
That's
a little deer in the headlights face right there.
That's not good.
He kind of arrived in the NBA that same way, and didn't really last in the NBA either. So I think that's a good one. And I'll finish with one more. Well, there are a couple of great ones here, but if you can look up Drew Gooden. There's a picture of Drew Gooden, NBA player. Drew is like me. He's sort of challenged on the cranium. Call him cranially challenged in terms of his hair. but he makes the most of it with with his facial hair. So
Whoa.
it gets so long on the chin that he can actually bead it. Like I'm gonna bead that thing. So
That's nasty.
I think he he's not able to grow that on the top, but if you're able to get it on your chin, you can really pull in the chicks. Really get a lot of. I'm thinking about something like this. I don't know what you guys think, but one last one, Rick. And then we can move on. But I just want to talk about Dwayne Shinsius. Dwayne Shinsius was an NBA player who's unfortunately passed away. But he was a workman. He was a workman, big man. But for this guy, there's kind of like he's got two things happening all at once. So if you look at him from the front, it's all business, business in the front. Back, it's a party in the back, baby. Look at the back. Oh, it's business in the front, party in the back, and I think he looks kind of like mullet. Who is the achy breaky heart guy? Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus. Yeah.
Billy Ray. He's got I think he took the Billy Ray and put it into the NBA. Right.
That's nasty. There's loads of footballers that have done exactly the same thing.
I'll pass on to the next guy, but I think those are two cringeworthy.
There's some nasty ones, man. There's some real nasty. Rick, for the ones that I came up with, why don't you stick them in a folder and then just sort of scroll through the folder? Because you're using a Mac. Using a Mac, yeah?
Yeah, I'm using a Mac, but I'm going to try. Hang on. But I have what do you just name it? Yours is listed.
Do just like what I did. Do just like what I did there. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He can find them quickly.
I can tell you. Julian, I have all yours with the players team. So
quick draw, Rick.
First thing is 3 haircuts from one guy. And this is ex-Everton, ex-Liverpool player, Mr. Abel Xavier, Portuguese chap.
Okay, I got it.
There's 3 there. You could scroll through those 3, mate, because there are and there's other ones other than these 3 that I've sent you. These are nasty ass haircuts.
What position did this guy play for Everton?
He was a left back, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that middle one. What was he thinking? What was he thinking at that particular point? It was like, that's a mop. You could just turn him upside down and clean your floor. That is a shocker.
Flock of seagulls. I think I'm thinking a flock of seagulls.
Yeah, it is a flock of seagulls. You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. They are shocking. He had a big sort of blonde flat top when he was playing for Everton. And then he moved to Liverpool, had a similar sort of cut, and which I think the top cut, the one that you're looking at there. But that second and third one, they are shocking.
Do you think he walked down the street thinking, do you think they notice I'm not a natural blonde?
I think you could be right. Okay, there's 2 next, Rick. 2 in the same Chelsea team of the 1970s. So if you can find the 2 Chelsea players, Ian Britton and John Dempsey. These both played for the same team. And actually, I could have done the whole list of ex-Chelsea players in the 70s, because these are shocking beyond belief. Because anyone that walked out, look, we all know that 70s was the decade that style forgot. But sorry, come on. At what point did that look good? It never did. Whether you're in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, or the year 2000. That is it's a comb over, but it's a very I'm getting dizzy now, Rick. Stop there. But look at the sides. It's obviously a comb over. That guy right now. I hope to God he's still alive, but he's bald. He's absolutely bald. Look at the sides. It's a huge cuppy monstrosity. It is a shocker. And then
it's like a monkey's wannabe haircut.
Exactly. Then he had a colleague who he probably didn't have too much choice in this haircut because he just let it grow. But look at that. That's a feather cut with a bit of hay around the edge. That's a gentleman called Ian Britton. not particularly famous footballer from outside Chelsea circles, I'm sure. But
my God.
look at that. That's nasty beyond belief. That is absolutely nasty beyond belief.
Looks like he rode to the photo shoot with his motorcycle helmet on and like it kind of puffed out around the bottom of the
but it's frizzy. But like 70s, I mean, you could really have done this whole thing with just haircuts of the 70s. But if you look at something from the 80s, a gentleman called Mr. Penner, which is what's his first name? It's a German, Miroslav Penner. If you can find that one, Rick, he is I believe, a German player. It looks as though he played for. I'll open it up myself to see who he played.
Okay,
for.
I got it.
Yeah. Possibly the evilest haircut you've seen. This is similar to what James had showed us before in a mullet, but Miroslav decided that a little feather cut at the front was the way forward. To go with his nice long face, he accented it with a little bit of hot hair at the back. He has a nice football, but that's nasty. That is absolutely nasty. And then finally,
he looked in the mirror. He looked in a mirror after he got that haircut. He looked in the mirror, and the hairstylist looked in the mirror and said, "That looks great."
He styled that. You're right. He styled that. He has gone into the hairdresser and got it styled like that. That's that.
What were they smoking? What were they smoking? I don't know.
And that my final one of worst haircuts. There's actually 3 pictures if you can find those 3 of an ex-Everton player. So you might know who I'm talking about. But this is a guy that didn't style his hair. This is a guy that just woke up in the morning and got his wife to just trim a little bit off. And it shows. He wasn't blessed with the best of looks, God love his soul, but he was blessed with probably some of the greatest skills as a footballer as I've ever seen. Well, I think one of the greatest players I've ever seen. But Peter Beardsley had some awful. He had the same haircut throughout his whole career. And no matter what he did with it, it looked the same. And it still looked as though someone had cut it with a knife and fork. Seriously. Rick, you been able to find him yet?
Yep. I got
Stick him up there. See if you can find the 3 of them. Okay, so that's what he looked like in the when he was playing for Bolton, I think, near the end of his career. But which is surely someone just stuck a bowl around his head and cut. And then there's 2 others. One where he's playing for Liverpool, one where he's playing for England. I didn't want to where he was playing for Everton because he probably looked quite good when he played for Everton. But here, look at his fringe. That's not even straight. It's not even straight. So that's classic bowl. Brush it all down. No thought whatsoever gone into it. The best one is actually where he's got the Liverpool shirt on. Peter 3. You found that, Rick? Oh, here we go. There we go. Look at that. Look at it. Guy's not thinking about his haircut whatsoever. In fact, he doesn't care because all he cared about was being an absolutely amazing, brilliant footballer. But poor old Peter. Poor old Peter.
Yeah, but
disgraced Peter, unfortunately.
On that note, he was one of the best players in the early 90s when he moved from Liverpool to Everton, and he had a really good few seasons in Everton. He was so good that while everyone thought he was going to retire with us, but he went to Newcastle and he had a few more good seasons after that.
He did. Great
He was
player.
brilliant. He was a really good Everton player. Yeah.
Rick, can I just quickly go on to my favourite haircuts of all time? And actually, both Everton players. All right. And this is because when I was a kid, when I was growing up, I wanted this guy's hair. Paul Bracewell. He was a midfielder for England and Everton. I think he played for Newcastle and Fulham, and he managed Fulham at one point. But before his injuries, I think he was one of the greatest players that put on a blue shirt. That haircut you see in front of you is how I wanted my hair. Then, in the following season, he cut his hair like that. And it was big. Trust me, in the Everton circles, that was big news when he had his haircut like that. And I was desperate. And I got my mum. I said, "Mum, I want a haircut like this." And she tried to cut my hair. Mate, I stuck a sleeping bag over my head for 2 hours because I didn't want to come out. It was that bad. The fringe started here. Then, my mum's like, "Oh, it's not straight. Better do it a bit higher." So it got a little bit higher. Oh, that's not straight. I ended up with a fringe up here. I was crying crying for 2 to 3 hours straight. I wouldn't go out the house for weeks afterwards. But Paul Bracewell's hair, for me, coolest hair that existed when I was a kid.
Yeah, he was quite good looking. Yeah. What about you, James? What's your best haircut before I share my one? What was your best?
I've got a short video to throw up.
Okay.
And it's basically the Minnesota high school state hockey tournament, all hair club. And in Minnesota, the ice hockey players skate up to the camera as they're introduced, and without their helmets, and their hair is flowing. So we call it the flow. Who's got the best flow? And if we go to around the 6-minute mark there, we see some of these players how they strut to the.
Can't see anything yet. Yeah.
Yeah, they strut up and they got nice, cool hairstyles.
Jesus.
Shaved on the sides, the facial hair. Remember, these guys are high school kids. They're like 15, 16, 17. So if they can come up with, look, they got the fro look. Well, this guy's got nice, long, flowing hair.
We've got the curtain look.
Look, this guy is flowing. He's flowing now. Oh, there you go. There's a candidate. Oh, and look at that blowing, the wind blowing. So a guy who can flip his hair back. Oh, this is a serious mullet right there. Ooh, he does the flick. No, this guy's a winner right here.
Crackers there, mate.
Little
so these are Rick, James. These are the hair you would like if you had hair. These are the hairs you would go for.
That's it. And these guys, those guys actually grow their hair and get a special style just for, and they pray that their team makes it to the state tournament. Because if they have their haircut and they don't make it, it's like, man, I'm not going to be on TV this year, you know. But those guys work hard to get their hair in the right place, and even if they don't play, they're the guy who sits on the bench, but they got the skate up and they got the hair thing going, and a once in a lifetime moment, and that is actually created by a journalist from Minnesota who writes for a New York publication, and it's gone global, and people all over the world watch that. The Minnesota State Hockey Hair Challenge basically got the best flow. So to me, I think those boys they got it going on.
Rick, we're running out of time, buddy. All yours.
Well, mine is a quick one. But I must say the hair that the girls will dig that, man. But for me, the worst haircut, I just have one. This is from the World Cup from 2002. You can see.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
There was only one in 2002 had the worst haircut of all time.
Ronaldo.
Yeah. So this is the haircut from Ronaldo. You see that? I still can't figure out why he did what he did.
I love the face. This picture is great. You know, the space between the teeth. Kind of look at that child molester kind of look on his face. It's like, what is this? You know, that's unbelievable.
Absolutely. I just want to. You got any good haircuts, Rick?
Yeah, a quick one. Well, I defined a good haircut to include hairstyle, and I wanted to share this from our local athlete, Malaysian athlete. If I can find it, okay, I found it. So this is Farah Ann, our Malaysia's top gymnast, and she's won quite a number of medals. And if you see her perform, she's always immaculately well done with her hair. It's always well maintained, well groomed, and I got to congratulate her that she knows how to maintain her visual image, and I really like the way she maintained her hair. Well done to her.
Rick, does your wife know that you have a crush on her?
Well, I guess she knows now.
Exactly. She doesn't. She definitely does know.
As if your wife watches the show. Come on, Rick.
They're the only people that do watch it. It's our wives.
Well, there you go.
Anybody out there, if you guys are watching and you have a better good or bad haircut in sports, you let us know. Send it through. We can talk about some honorable mentions next week. Real shockers.
There are some real shockers. We've got a few more. In fact, we could probably do a few more episodes with shouted hair.
Yeah. Well, today is episode 7, and maybe we'll do a few more episodes for this season. We can always plan to do another second season. And as we said, the next season we will have 3 of us together in one room,
and with some guests.
Yeah, we were proper guests and etc. etc. So to round it up, James, any last word? I know the two of you are in a hurry. You have an appointment at 12:30. If you have anything you want to share?
No, I just want to say, express yourself. It's all about the world of customization. So customize your hair, customize your content, demand more, and we'll have to deliver. Sports will have to deliver what it is that you want. If you want to pay for something, part with your money, you can basically ask for it to be delivered to you how you want it. And I think sports organizations are need to be mindful of that and need to be flexible in their offerings so that they can charge. And hairstyles, just keep on keeping on. And we will love to see the nastiness. We love to see the individuality. Let's keep on shocking people and laughing and enjoying.
Thanks, James. Julian?
What he said.
Same.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
all my friends in the stadium, US Bank Stadium. See you guys next week.
You guys next week. That was episode 7. Thank you very much. Watch
Cheers,
out for us. We will announce our episode 8 in a few days' time. Take care. Goodbye, everybody. Let's continue staying on the ball.
Here's the music coming. It's coming.
Yep, music coming.
Oh, I don't know. I think we lost the music. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Goodbye. See you, man. And
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.